Wherever you're watching from around the world, we're live from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Let's get into our second conversation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the total value of capital importation into the country declined by 2.40% to $1.54 billion in the second quarter of the year, compared to $1.57 billion in the previous quarter. The MBS, in its recently released foreign trade reports, noted that the Lagos State topped the destination for foreign capital inflows with $1.05 billion, accounting for 68.66% of total inflows into the country, closely followed by investment into the nation's capital, Abuja, valued at $453.95 million. Meanwhile, ongoing monetary policy of major central banks around the world, as well as domestic factors including scarcity of foreign exchange, widespread insecurity, and pre-election jitters, have been attributed as factors that will continue to lead to further decline in foreign capital importation into the country if these fundamentals are not urgently addressed. Well, to discuss this development, I'm being joined live here in our studios by the Chief Executive Officer of BVA Partners, Mr. Okechukwu Anufro. Thank you so much, Mr. Okechukwu, for coming on Business Nigeria.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's begin with the fact that the total value of capital importation into the country in the second quarter of 2022 was only at $1.56 billion, dropping by 2.40%. What do we have on our hands?
Oh, yeah. A 2.4% drop it's as much as it's not something anybody should be happy to deal with, but we're not surprised why that is so. A typical investor has what they're looking at before they make their investment. Right about now, we know our fundamentals, economic fundamentals, political, social, they're not looking good. Look at what's happening to our security. Look at what is happening, unemployment, inflation, you get. And then, so our economic fundamentals are just not right. So it's not surprising to see that people are pulling back. Investors are watching the environment they want to invest in. Of course, again, elections are coming up, but maybe as we get into the conversation.
I mean,
so it's not surprising.
We'll discuss how critical the elections are and this drop in importation, capital importation. But I mean, the MBS says on a year-on-year basis, there was an increase by 75.34%. Does that give you some hope? Are you positive about that?
Absolutely, 74% is massive. I mean,
75.34%.
75 point, yeah. I mean, it's massive. You're looking at
on a year-on-year basis.
Exactly. You get, and so that's why for me the 2.4% quarter difference that we just had compared to last quarter isn't something to really worry about. You get, but so yeah, the 70 something point something percent, 75.8% is quite an interesting development, but it can be better.
All right, let's do a practical breakdown. I mean, because I understand of the three categories of investment that make up capital importation, for instance. Portfolio investment accounted for 49.33% of the total value, while other investments contributed just about 41.09%. I wonder what your analysis are.
Yeah, matter of fact, 50%, that's 49 points, approximately 50% portfolio investment we talked about. What those are not the kind of investment that really trigger employment, because really we're talking about investment in real assets. You understand? So, and that's the pattern we've seen over time. You have more of people wanting, I won't call it free money, but you just invest in securities of existing companies, make your income, whether it's interest, invest in securities, and then you walk away. But most countries prefer to have people who make direct investments into real productive assets, that create employment, and then, so investors obviously at the end of the day are looking at their returns, and so you give it to them.
Yeah. Well, I was going to just try and see if I can pull that out. I mean, the issue of direct investment, I think it was just about a 9.5% was terribly low, and I'm wondering perhaps what would play out in the coming months if it stays that way.
The 9 point something percent is for direct investment, right?
Yes.
Good. So you're talking about somebody who wants to invest in productive assets, where you have to deal with government regulations, employment, community relations, you're employing people, you're dealing with, you already know what the ease of doing business in Nigeria is. You know where we rank in that index, you know. So, like I said, these numbers are not that surprising because we have a lot of work to do in-house. You know, there's this thing you want to do when you're selling a product. There's a strategy that you can just make sure your product is the best, and then you find customers, you find people coming to meet you. So Nigeria is so that if we see Nigeria, if we see our economy like a product, our job is to make the best of it, and then you naturally attract these investors. But we're not doing that. And so when you're having 9% or 10% or whatever it is, as opposed to 50% in the portfolio investor, it shouldn't surprise anybody. You are aware about a few weeks ago, a man who came back from abroad started a hotel and things, was kidnapped. And so the insecurity alone, if you're thinking of bringing your direct investment, you're looking at what kind of environment are you bringing this money into.
All right. Mr. Okechukwu, we'll discuss some of the sectors and some of the states as well and their contributions to this. But so capital importation, of course, contributes to the growth of any country. But I wonder just how essential they are, I mean, in terms of the growth of Nigeria's economy.
We can't even begin to imagine. That's really the we don't have any alternative than investing, really. But
are we paying attention to it?
Well, it's like trying to fetch water. What we are doing can be likened to you're using a basket to fetch water because your basket is leaking. So, for instance, you have a terribly hostile environment. How do you expect people to come into that kind of environment? Do you understand? But you see, the previous man that spoke, we don't even have, okay, let's not digress, but I'm going to just mention that we don't have a revenue problem. What we have is a spending problem. But that's a topic for another day. Now, foreign direct investment is critical for Nigeria's development. No country can even do about it, can do without it. What we should be worried about is why are we not the ideal place? You find countries like Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, and things, grabbing the largest part of the FDIs that come into Africa. And so those are the kind of things we should be asking ourselves. Why are we not even in the top 10?
Are we concerned about it, the leadership? Are we paying attention to it?
It's just unfortunate, because,
especially considering the policies by the central bank, financial institutions.
It is one thing to churn out policies, all right? But it is one thing to also stay true to them by your actions and your inactions. Do you understand? And so we're saying that beyond just dropping these policies and making all the hype in the news, we need to turn this country into a production base, basically. Yeah.
All right. Let me get your analysis and assessment on just how problematic is the fact that only 5 states in Nigeria, received inflow in Q2. I mean, of course, Lagos took the lead. Lagos, the nation's capital, Abuja, Anambra State, Kogi, and Ekiti State. We have Lagos at $1.05 billion, Abuja $453.95 million, Anambra $24.71 million, and of course, Kogi $2 million, Ekiti, of course, just $0.5 million. How problematic is this when we are seeing just 5 states receiving inflow?
Exactly. Again, it's a reflection of what we are dealing with, how we are, So because in Nigeria, where Nigeria will you say is our production capital? Is it Nnewi, Aba, Abia State and things? So that distribution is more like it. It's more like it, but you will expect much more coming in.
Maybe I should also ask, what do states across the country need to do differently? I mean, as outside Lagos and maybe the nation's capital, what should other states be doing? I mean, because if it has to do with the fact that Lagos is surrounded by water, so the ports, for instance, contributes a huge quota to the economy and all of that. But we have some states in the south, in Rivers, in Bayelsa, Cross River, Akwa Ibom. So what should other states be learning perhaps from Lagos?
Remember that even with Lagos getting a larger chunk of the capital, right? You notice that 49% of that was portfolio direct investment. So it's really not in the productive assets. We're talking about manufacturing, production, right? But you see, what should other states be doing? It is still on that basic ingredient I'm talking about. Insecurity, I can tell you, is one of the most significant variable that needs to be addressed. You don't expect people to feel comfortable doing business in an environment where they're not safe. So all of this we are speaking will be grammar, as long as we're not addressing these factors. Yeah. So lots of people out of job, zero. You know what the unemployment numbers are right now. So it's as serious as that.
Yes, so I would like to just hear your thoughts briefly as we leave now and end the conversation about what your projections are this next quarter in terms of capital importation. But I understand that about 5 countries received capital importation from in the second quarter. We have the UK, Singapore, South Africa, United Arab Emirates, and the United States. I mean, I could have probably gone through the figures, but we probably don't need to do that. But when you look at these countries and their investment in Nigeria, for instance, UK has over $780 million as investment in the country. I wonder perhaps if you think that we should be doing more with other countries around us as well.
If you ask me, it really won't matter which countries we are dealing, which countries these funds are coming from, as long as they're all legit money. But can I even tell you something? Can I shock you? Do you know that Nigeria is the amount of diaspora remittances? We are 6th. I understand. We are 6th in the world when you compare the volume of the diaspora remittances, and so that can be a crucial element for attracting even foreign capital. So yes, whereas these numbers bother me, whereas what we're doing presently is nowhere near what we want, but there's also an alternative to which is the diaspora remittances. But you need to make these guys comfortable about the environment, because somebody cannot spend 10 years, 20 abroad, put some money together, and wants to invest in his country, and then he finds that he can't even walk on the street.
What's your outlook? The last quarter of the year, what do you see?
Okay, so I just see...
10 seconds, please.
Yeah, sure. I really don't expect any significant changes from the numbers we've seen. The reason is simple. The elections are coming, and typically here, you know that there's almost zero governance, as you approach into elections. So I can't wait for these elections to come and go so we can get back to living normally.
All right. Well, we hope that things unfold in the coming months, and we'll see how we can see more growth to the economy. Mr. Okechukwu Anufero, thank you so much indeed for your time and insights on the program. Chief Executive Officer, BVA Partners. Thank you so much for coming on Business Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.